If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, as well as follow me and subscribe to me on all my other social media platforms. What's up, Thrashers, and welcome back once again to the Thrash Maniac 99 YouTube channel, and I am back with another album review for you guys. And today I am talking about a debut album from an upcoming death metal band. I am talking about the debut offering from Ageless Summoning, Corrupting the ENTEMPLED Plane. So this came out on July 21st. This comes out on Dark Descent Records. And I was curious to check this one out, considering, you know, I'm always on the lookout for some new bands to scope out and scout, quote-unquote. And I came across this band, and I saw they were on Dark Descent, and of course Dark Descent has had a myriad of some killer albums out there for many different bands, like particularly Blood Incantation would be the big one I could think of. And when looking at this band's Metal Archives page, I saw they were compared to Morbid Angel, so I was expecting to hear some wild, chaotic stuff. Well, you do get wild, chaotic stuff on this album, but not a whole lot of it sounds like Morbid Angel to me. And you'll kind of get that as I go along. So here we kick things off with Usurper of the Void. Immediately gets into some evil riffs and grooves, but it kind of reminds me of, like, what would happen if Gojira was a more sinister sounding band, or hell, even Immolation. Like, I had quite a few, I heard a few nods to Immolation, particularly I would say, like, the Here and After era of Immolation, where there was a little bit more groove going on and a little bit more intensity going on. And there's quite a number of songs that kind of give off a little bit of an Immolation vibe, like Usurper of the Void, Epoch of Souls, and Incarnate Nothingness. Like, those songs in particular have a lot of vibes compared to Immolation, with the atonal lines, little hints of dissonance here and there with the guitars. And then even, like, Incarnate Nothingness even brings back a little bit of, like, a Gojira groove to kind of add something extra on top of the song. But the one track that did give me a little bit of Morbid Angel vibes was the second track, Descent from the Infinite. That song, or the Infinite, wow. I am still tired. It is still in the morning whenever I'm doing this review, but I digress. But yeah, Descent into the Infinite definitely has some, like, more, like, cool guitar build-up into thrashy riffs, kind of like Altars of Madness era Morbid Angel a little bit. But I would say one particular main thing about this album, groove. Like, this album is Groove City. Mostly sticks to, like, those mid-tempo grooves with the occasional blast beat or odd time shift or thrashy parts. But it's mostly all about groove and just really getting down and dirty with a lot of riffs. There are a lot of great, notable, groovy, heavy riffs on here, like Corrupting the ENTEMPLED Plane, the title track. The opening riff gave me a Blood Red Throne vibe, like recent Blood Red Throne, like self-titled, maybe even like Fit to Kill era Blood Red Throne I got hints of. The opening to Among the Worms made me think of the song Human Fraud by Blood Red Throne in the way the riff came out. It just made me think of that one Blood Red Throne track. I was like, that's actually pretty fucking cool. Now, also, I would bring up a few more tracks, like Toward the Fractal Absolute, which was the shortest normal track of the album at a little over 3.5 minutes. It was just flat out aggressive, and that was maybe one of my favorite songs of the album, because it was just all about no BS, let's just get into aggressive riffs, crazy thrash energy, and just go absolutely chaotic with the leads. Now, the leads on this album definitely vary. Like, there are some melodic leads that come up in Among the Worms, where it gets a little bit more melodic, but most of the leads were more about atmosphere and or just wild, chaotic dive bombs. And pretty much like most of these songs deal with more atmosphere and or chaotic dive bombs, with the exception of Among the Worms. And then even like the title track, you even get like a crazy shredding lead on top of all that. Now, as far as like the stuff that I didn't like about this album, well, for one, the song Invocation, just kind of a needless interlude into the closing track, Salvation and Ash, which Salvation and Ash, the longest track of the album at 7.5, it was cool that it was a more doom-laden song, but it kind of it falls in, or pales, that's the word I was looking for. It pales in comparison to the majority of the songs of the album in terms of feeling, construction, and just the overall atmosphere and mood. I just feel that song kind of lacks in comparison to everything else. And then really the big problem I had with this album, the production and the mix, not the greatest. Like, the bass is almost non-existent on this album. Like, I could barely, if at all, hear the bass on this album. And also, like, the drum tones sound super thin. The guitar tone, little bit kind of squawky, especially in the lead tone. The guitars get a bit squawky. And also, I thought the guitar sounded, like, muddy. So, again, this is a band's first go, so I'm going to give them a break in that regard. But I do think if we get a second album, hopefully the drums sound better and sound more punchy, and the guitar tone has a little bit more chunk to it and a little bit more low end on it, as opposed to how it came out on this album. And really, apart from like that, from like a couple of tracks kind of paling in comparison to most, really the big thing that holds this album back from having a higher score is the production and the mix. Not that great. So for all those reasons, I give this album a 7.5 out of 10. It's a pretty solid album as far as the songs. Like, most of the songs are really, really good. It's just the production and the mix really hold this album back a lot. And it's a damn shame, but that, again, this is all just my opinion. If you like production styles like this, you might score this higher than me. But for me, I want to be able to hear the bass, I want to hear some chunky guitars, I want to hear the drums sound punchy, and that's just what I think. But of course, this is all my opinion. What did you guys think of Corrupting the Entempled Plane by Ageless Summoning? Let me know in the comments below, and until next time, keep your horns high and your dreams wet.